Hey there, everyone. It's GG Sober Sun. February 17th. AA thought for the day. I always try to find a new location with water. It's just kind of my thing. So bear with me. This is an awkward angle. Alcohol is poison to the alcoholic. Poison is not too strong a word because alcoholism leads eventually to the death of the alcoholic. It may be a quick death or a slow death. When we go by package stores and see various kinds of liquor all dressed up in fancy packages to make it look attractive, we should always make it a point to say to ourselves, so we'll never forget it, that stuff's all poison to me. And it is. Alcohol poisoned our lives for a long time. Do I know that since I am an alcoholic, all liquor is poison to me? Well, and of course we use a different word for liquor and beer, right? Like alcohol is alcohol, whether it's liquor or beer or wine or kombucha, right? That kombucha is the new supposedly healthy thing that has a certain level of alcohol in it. I could taste it. I went to a local organic restaurant kind of thing, and the lady was like, "Oh, you want to try our kombucha?" I'd never heard of it before. She's like, "No, it's a good probiotic drink, right?" And she gave it to me, and I was like, "That tastes kind of fermented. Does that have alcohol in it?" And she goes, "No, it has no alcohol in it." And I was not convinced. So I continued. I didn't continue to drink it. I looked it up, and I mean, even the Googs said, "Hey, there's a small amount of alcohol in it. It is fermented." So it doesn't even have to be dressed up in a nice package kind of thing for me to be enticed by it. Although I did have, like my dad, I may have shared this before, my dad used to keep empty bottles around the house, right? Displaying them like trophies almost, because the packaging is pretty neat. There was a bottle of Crown Royal, I think it was, that was like an orb that had a little crown on top of it, that sat filled with water on our end table in our living room for years and years and years and years, like it was a family heirloom, for crying out loud. Now I believe it was Crown Royal. I'm not sure 100% sure that's what it was, but it was like a green bottle with a crown shaped cap on it. But not even less ornate bottles were displayed as almost like trophies in my home growing up. And I fell in love with the packaging. When I was about 8 years old, we moved to a new neighborhood, and all the boys in the neighborhood had beer can collections, and we would, and I probably shared this before, but we would trade, and we'd, some of us would buy books that, this was pre-internet, but we would buy books that would say the general price that you could get for each beer can, kind of thing. So I started collecting about that same age, and by the time I left home, I probably had 200 different beer cans. Some of them had the contents in them, and some of them didn't. But at an early age, I fell in love with the packaging, right? And still, I look at some of the packaging, and it's like, man, that's a beautiful bottle. I mean, they have they have people, study groups and psychologists and stuff like that design their packaging. It's that way for a reason, right? To entice us. And so that it's helpful to be mindful of that, right? But also, as it says in this reading, remind ourselves that alcohol is poison to me. I don't care how good it looks. I don't have to consume it, right? In fact, and if I do, I'm asking for a world of hurt. So I don't take the packaging lightly. I've had enough experience of the action of alcohol in my body. Yes, I may experience that sense of ease and comfort, but man, I want more of that. That's the phenomenon of craving. It's like, I want more sense of ease and comfort, so I continue down the spiral, down the drain kind of thing. And it's not just that my body is poisoned, my mind is poisoned as well. And I start thinking that another drink might be better than the previous one. And, or that I can rationalize allowing alcohol into my life. And it leads to nothing but hopelessness and futility. And victim mentality. It just breeds the same. Meditation for the day. I must somehow find the means of coming nearer to God. That is what really matters. I must somehow seek the true bread of life, which is communion with Him. I must grasp for the truth at the center of all worship. This central truth is all that matters. All forms of worship have this communion with God as their purpose and goal. Now, this could be a completely different discussion entirely about worship. What is worship? You know, the Western world seems to think that worship is singing songs, listening to music, maybe raising my hands while I sing the song to God or about God. And really, doing my laundry can be worship. Sticking out my hand at a meeting to a newcomer or someone I haven't met yet, even if they aren't a newcomer, they could be a visitor, or the first time to my meeting, sticking out my hand and introducing myself can be worship, because it takes effort. Worship requires effort or intention, right? So if I'm sitting silently and meditating, that's a form of worship. So we have to understand, you don't have to, it's helpful, I should say, to understand what the meaning of worship is, what the true meaning of worship is. It means that I'm going to acknowledge my higher power in everything that I do. I'm going to give all areas of my life, even the parts that I thought were dirty or not holy at all, to include, say, sex, right? It's like, in that area, I used to think, and this is kind of an epiphany for me, actually, as I'm saying it, because I used to think that, you know, all sex was dirty. You know, it talks about it in the Big Book, where it says, some people would have no flavor for your fare, and others would have us all on a straight pepper diet. In other words, you know, we shouldn't enjoy sex, or we should cry for more of it, right? Because that's become their God, right? There's a, dare I say it, a balance between abstaining entirely. I haven't found that balance, frankly. I'm coming off almost 2 years of what is it? Celibacy. It's been good. It's been a season in my life, you know, and of course I'm not with anybody. And so, but it's the first long-term period of time where I have not engaged in sex with self either, which is new behavior in this phase of my recovery. But it's been a time where I've been closer to God, and so that revelation that I could even commit sex to the God of my understanding, because he created it, so why wouldn't I commit it to him? And so that I can have a new experience, you know, that set aside prayer. God, help me set aside what I think I know about you, about my recovery, about, you know, life, so that I can have a new experience in you. And all the more important for sex, because that has been problematic in my life, and it's one of the key causes and conditions as to why I drank, I think. So every day I avoid alcohol. I'm in with a chance. I have an opportunity to learn these things. So for that, I'm eternally grateful. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may meet God in quiet communion. I pray that I may partake of the soul food that God has provided for me. And I have to acknowledge him in all my daily activities, especially when I get bound up, as it says in the big book. We pause when agitated. That's worship. We ask God for guidance and direction. That's worship. That is saying to our higher power, my higher power, that I have relinquished control. I'm surrendering control to you, and it enables me to be in the moment, which is the most spiritual place I can be at any given time. So, as I mentioned before, every day I avoid alcohol. I'm in with a chance. I have an opportunity to learn and love and grow and to serve my higher power as I understand my higher power. So keep coming back, y'all. Chin up, aim up, rise up. Love you.